I'm Craig Fabian. I'm Head of Development at St Cuthbert Wanderers Football Club. So welcome to St Cuthbert Wanderers. We've been established for the best part of 150 years now. We started out in 1879 and we've been in continuous operation ever since. Our purpose is just to provide opportunities for people to play football. So that's people of all abilities, a very broad range of ages from age 3 up to, in fact, late 70s. The club is completely volunteer run, so we have 25 volunteers. We're divided into 3 main sections. So we have a youth section that looks after kids from our little mini kickers, age 3, right up to 17-year-olds. Then we have our first team, which plays in the South of Scotland League. The average age of our first team players at the moment is around 22. And then we have the old guys like me, so we have a walking football section, which looks after people from age 50 to late 70s. So our most recent project has been our new pitch. We have a 3G pitch, and the reason for that is because if it was a grass pitch, it just wouldn't survive. The pitch is used 7 days a week, all age ranges, all areas in the pitch are used, and it would just be a sea of mud in the winter time. So we have to have an artificial surface. The issue with 3G surfaces is that they're cyclical, so they wear out at about every 10 years or so. And so the project was initiated, in fact, by necessity. We had to replace our pitch because it was essentially worn out. And the fact that we are a quality member of the Scottish Football Association means that we have to meet certain standards. So FIFA, the world governing body for football, inspect the pitch every few years, and unless the pitch meets their standards, we're unable to stay within the SFA, which is a very important part of us being able to achieve the quality standards that we need to achieve. So the biggest problem we faced with this project was funding. It was very clear what needed to be done, the timeline was very clear, the specification was very clear, but we didn't have the money. The SFA have been wonderful supporters. As I've said already, we're a quality mark club, and that means that they typically fund our activities to around about 50%. Unfortunately, Dumfries and Galloway Council are no longer able to fund facilities like these, particularly if they're not council owned, in the way that they used to years ago. And in fact, back in 12 years ago, when our previous pitch was installed, the council contributed 50%. Nowadays, that's nearer 10%. And we understand why, we all understand why. These are difficult times. But of course, from our point of view, for this project, it meant we had a huge funding gap to fill. So we had to do an awful lot of research to find funders that were interested in actually replacing something that already existed. A lot of funders are very interested in new outcomes, new initiatives, new projects. This is just essentially, you might call it maintenance. And therefore it was difficult to find funders. I must mention the Hollywood Trust. Hollywood Trust have been absolutely fantastic in supporting us from the very beginning, as have Third Sector in helping us find funders. The Scottish Football Association pointed us towards an organisation called the Scottish Football Partnership Trust. And then, of course, Dumfries and Galloway Council did make a contribution, albeit nearer 10% than the 50% it was years ago. Yeah, so our main measure of success is participation. It's all about participation. That's our primary purpose. That's our new charitable objectives. And I'm pleased to say that we've seen growth for quite a few years now. If we look at the youth section, the kids come through. They come through all of the age groups, from 3-year-old right up to the end of school. If I look at the walking football section, we've grown from initially no players back in the middle of 2022 to 60 players here in 2026. So that's just enormous growth. The first team have always actually punched above their weight in the various competitions they're involved in, both in terms of winning trophies and in terms of being a pathway to the professional game. We've been thinking very hard about how we work with the local community at St Cuthbert's, and one of the things that's most obvious about football in the community is many football clubs are used at the weekends, then they're under lock and key behind closed gates for the rest of the week. So our first thought was, well, why aren't we sharing our facilities with the community, because the community is very involved in the work that we do here. So what we want to do is to develop our facilities so that we have a social facility which the club needs. We currently don't have one, but a facility that could become a mixed-use room for the community to share and to use in the week when the football club isn't operating. So in order to progress these plans, what we did was put together a set of display boards, which you can see around me here. We put those in a shop window in one of the busy streets in the town in Kirkcudbright for everybody to see for a week. And then at the end of that week, we had a drop-in session where people could just come in and talk to us and ask questions about the proposals and give us their feedback on whether they think the proposals are a good idea. And what's been really, really exciting is that the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Not just positive in terms of it's a good idea and people giving ideas for how they see the mixed-use room being used, but also in the fact that there hasn't been any pushback or any negative response. I think it's really important in a local community like ours to make sure that there are no objections, and I think if there were any objections, we'd know about them by now. So in terms of help that we need, I think one of the things that's really struck me being new to all of this is the fact that you don't know what you don't know, and therefore to work with people who can help through the process, through the journey, has been just brilliant. So for example, the Hollywood Trust have been really helpful in just helping us make a judgment of kind of what scale we should go for, what scope we should go for, introducing us to people who've been through a similar journey to ourselves so that we can learn from them. And similarly, third sector Dumfries and Galloway were helpful. At the very beginning, in fact, this point about you don't know what you don't know, third sector Dumfries and Galloway were the first people to say to us, you really ought to be to get charitable status sooner rather than later. And indeed we have, and we did, and we certainly wouldn't have realised just how important that is to us had that not been said to us very early on. In terms of when things get difficult, well, I mean, it's all about people. It really is all about people and about teamwork. If you're feeling down, if something didn't go well today, then there's always somebody else that's feeling up. And I found that it's a useful tip just to be with people that are up. And that has an amazing effect on your own motivation and your own morale. And equally, if you see somebody else down, help pick them up too. And I think that's what this area is all about. I think the third sector is so important because it's just such a big and high quality resource. There's an awful lot of people out there doing an awful lot of good work. So I think it's what on earth we would lose and we would miss without the third sector is the impression I get as I go around talking to people and other organisations about what they're doing.